Hi, everybody, and you're all very welcome to our product update webinar today. It's been a while since we had one of these, but it's good to be back. And it's great to see you all today attend this. So a massive thanks for joining. I'll just give it a few minutes to make sure everyone can join. But just to get started, as many of you already may know, I am Nicole Cunningham and I am the product marketing manager for Lean Library here at Technology from Sage, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. And today I am delighted to be joined by Becca, our Senior Product Manager at Lean Library, where she'll be talking us through the upcoming print alternatives launch, which we are super excited about. So stay tuned today to learn about this new functionality and how to get your institution prepared for the upcoming launch. Before I hand it over to Becca, I'll just give a quick run through on some of the housekeeping. So as usual, please check your audio and visual settings. And if somebody could just kindly confirm in the chat that you can hear me and see the slides, that would be great. And if for some reason you can't hear me or see the slides, we recommend leaving the webinar and rejoining on Zoom. And as you join, Zoom will prompt you to check your audio and visual settings, and hopefully that will do the trick. As always, please feel free to connect with each other in the chat. And in regards to questions, please feel free to ask any questions either in the chat or the Q&A box, and we either answer them live or via the chat or at the end of the session. And lastly, the webinar will be recorded today and it'll be shared with you in an email in the coming days. So that's all from me, and we'll get started now. So Beck, over to you.
Lovely. Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to see some familiar faces or familiar names attending today. So welcome to our October product update webinar. I'll just talk us through the agenda for today. We don't have long, and I'm always sort of overrunning on these webinars. So I will try and keep to time. But so we've just had our sort of welcome and housekeeping from Nicole, and then the sort of the chunk of the webinar today will be about our new and coming soon developments in Q4, so this current quarter for this year. So everything that will take us up until the end of the year. So things that you might have missed and can look forward to before we move into the new year. And that includes our print alternatives development, which has been a sort of intricate and ongoing sort of development that we've been hard at work at. And I'm really excited to be able to sort of give some updates and just give a bit of a preview on how you can prepare for that. And alongside our print alternatives development, we're also working on a number of improvements to our alternatives functionality, which I hope you'll be excited to hear about and excited to see towards the end of the year. And then we are also planning a number of numerous other improvements as we have been sort of throughout the year. But I can just give you an update on some exciting sort of additional improvements which span a huge swathe of our sort of product functionality, from our access functionality to our block domains, promotional tools, and the Lean Library dashboard as well. So I can just give you a preview on what to expect for the rest of the year. And then we're also very much in the depths of roadmap planning for next year, which is really exciting. So I thought we could take 5 minutes just to hear from you all about what you'd really like to see more of from Lean Library in 2025. We have a lot of exciting things planned, but the next few months, hopefully, you will be hearing a lot more from me, as it would be really great to be able to get as much of your feedback as possible into the roadmap. It's also worth saying that a lot of those the improvements we're going to talk about today are taken directly from our AHA feedback portal. So they are developments that have come directly from your feedback. So do keep submitting your feedback, but also if you ever want to sort of schedule a more in-depth feedback call with me or any of our product team, do reach out. My contact is on this slide. Nicole can also maybe put it in the chat. But yeah, if you want to schedule a more sort of in-depth call with me or a member of the product team, yeah, do reach out, because we'd love to hear your feedback, whether good or bad. So, and then we will also save some time for a Q&A at the end. Cool. So I'll move on to our new and coming soon section, and I will kick things off by giving an update on our print alternatives functionality, which, as I said, we've been hard at work on. And I'll be giving a sort of status update on where we're at with each of our sort of discovery service partners in the next slide. But first, I wanted to just give a bit of a reminder of what this actually is and what the benefits are for you within the library, but also for your patrons as well. So our print alternatives functionality is essentially an addition to our alternatives feature, as you might have guessed. But what this essentially will mean is that rather than only having the option to check for print and click a link within the pre-existing alternatives pop-ups, as is currently the case, so rather than your users having to manually sort of click out to see whether you have a print version of a title available in your collections, we are now adding a print alternatives pop-up to the pop-up hierarchy. And this is currently just for print books at the moment. In the new year, we'll look to sort of gather some feedback from you all on what you might like to see more from the print alternatives functionality, if at all, whether that might include expanding this out to print journals or pulling in your sort of location information through to the pop-up as well. At the moment, the pop-up, as you can kind of see in the top right-hand corner there, will include a call to action for your users to find a copy of that title in your catalog. I've got a demo of this coming up in just a sec, so I'll go into that more shortly. But in terms of the benefits for you and your users, this is sort of built around the idea of allowing you to increase the visibility of your print collections more and more within sort of like your users' research workflow. We know that it can be the case and often is the case through our own sort of white paper studies, that students and sometimes also researchers, they don't always start their research within the library's environment and within sort of like your discovery layer. And this can sort of add barriers to them finding and sourcing your physical print collections. So we hope this will kind of create an additional pathway for them to be able to find that print content wherever they are within the open web. And we hope as well that this might help you provide sort of greater cohesion between your print and digital holdings by showcasing sort of your library's comprehensive resources. So not just your digital resources, but really promoting your print content too. And we also know that there are still students from the sort of the numbers of end user kind of research that we've done. There are still students and researchers who prefer using physical materials still. So our feature, we hope, will allow you to make your print collections more discoverable. And finally, we use an internal service that we created at Technology from Sage that links ISBNs together. And because of this, we are able to find or identify an ISBN on any sort of given web page, whether that's Amazon or a publisher site, and link the ISBNs together when we query the ISBN, when our extension queries the ISBN, to find sort of like additional, like other additions. So your user probably, like your patrons probably don't care whether they are accessing the paperback or the hardback. They just want a copy of that title. So our ISBN linking service will sort of allow your users to find sort of any available copy of the title in your catalog. So next up, there we go. Next up, a bit of an update on where we're at with each of our discovery partners. So we're launching the print alternatives functionality with the 3 major discovery services that we currently work with. And this is going to be Ex Libris, specifically their Primo service, including VE, OCLC, WorldCat WMS, and EBSCO EDS. So to give a bit of an update on each, our Ex Libris Primo integration is up and running on our beta environment. We're really happy with how it's looking. And we are doing continued testing with our Primo beta partners, but we're happy with how it looks at the moment. If you are a Ex Libris Primo customer and you would like to start to have a look and start testing yourself in our beta dashboard and sort of beta extension, do contact support@leanlibrary.com or me, and we can give you instructions on how to request the information that you'll need to add to the Lean Library dashboard, and also how to test as well. For OCLC, we are currently in the process of moving to OCLC's new content discovery API, which is now ready for use. We've been sort of in constant contact with OCLC about this, and we're happy to be able to move to their new API for both normal licensed alternatives, so your normal digital alternatives, as well as the print alternatives as well. So we'll be switching the print alternatives to this API also. This means that for everyone who signed up and sent us their OCLC credentials, once we've fully switched over to this new API, you'll be able to test the digital API as well as the print alternatives API at the same time. We'll be testing the digital alternatives API with anyone who wants to do so. So we'll be confident that the results that we're seeing are as expected. But if we will be sending details to all of our OCLC clients about this move and walking you through what the steps will be. Essentially, this will mean that OCLC mutual customer agreement form or authorization form, which will just allow us to access your access options API, which is the new API that we'll be moving to. But our customer success team will be reaching out to all of our OCLC clients very, very shortly. And then for EBSCO EDS, we have been working through the API using our beta partners' testing credentials, just to make sure that the responses that we're seeing are as expected. And we have been working with EBSCO just to add an extra parameter to our API call to make sure that these results are sort of super accurate. So that is where we're at the moment, but all of our beta partners are also set up on the Lean Library dashboard. So my next slide, I'm just going to run through really quickly the credentials that you'll need across sort of like all of our client base if you use any of these 3 discovery services. So for Ex Libris Primo, and just to caveat this by saying we will be creating full support guidance documentation on all of the credentials that you'll need for whichever discovery service you use. So don't feel like you need to remember any of this. Some of the instructions will be a little bit more in depth than what's on this slide, but it's just to kind of give you an overview of, generally speaking, what you'll need. And then you can see in the top right hand corner here this little visual. This is essentially what it looks like in our dashboard now. So all of this will be completely self-service. You don't need to send us the credentials. If you don't want to, you can put them straight into your beta dashboard. And then when you're happy with the results, you can put them straight into your production dashboard. If you want some help with this, you can obviously always reach out to our customer support team to help you configure this. But generally speaking, it is all self-service. So all you would need to do is request these credentials. So for Ex Libris Primo, it's just essentially 4 items. It'll be the URL of your Primo landing page, your vid, your API key, and your scope. The documentation will have full sort of instructions on how to request a Primo API key as well. For EDS, it'll just be your EDS API username, password, profile ID, as well as the database ID. And for OCLC, as I mentioned, we will just need you to send off a mutual customer access authorization form to OCLC. And once the OCLC team approve the access, you can start setting up the integration in your dashboard. The only bit of information you will need to add to your dashboard will be the OCLC registry ID. So because obviously every single discovery requires a different input, once you select your discovery in the print alternatives section of the dashboard, essentially the form that it will create a form for you to add whatever credentials you'll need. So it should be very self-explanatory. And hopefully you should be able to do it yourself. But again, we're on hand to help you configure it if needed. And I'm just going to do a bit of a demo. Every time I do a demo video in Zoom, it is always fuzzy for the participants, but Nicole tells me it looked really clear. So if it is fuzzy, we will send the recording again, like in a like after the webinar. But do shout if it is fuzzy. Hopefully it's not. I'll just I'll press play on this now and we can see. So one use case for this is that one of your users has gone to an Amazon title, they want to purchase it, but they see that it's not going to be delivered for a number of days and they are on deadline for an essay. But it's no problem because they can see that this title is available in print in your holdings. So they click find a copy and it will take them to your library's discovery to a search for, like, the queried search for the ISBN. And then they can click on the title itself to go into the title landing page to find more details on the location of the material. We don't show, this is our Lean Library EBSCO instance, and we don't show things like the sort of the location because we do not have a physical library at Lean Library. But if you were to go to your library's sort of catalog, you would then, the user would then be able to find any sort of like location and well, yeah, location information. So that is essentially how it works. So that's it up and running currently. And then this also sits alongside some other improvements that we're making to our alternatives functionality, which hopefully should be quite exciting to some of you. As I said, this feedback, or all of these improvements, come directly from the feedback that we get through our AHA portal. So thank you to everyone who submits feedback and votes on ideas as well. We do take the sort of the number of votes into account, but we also take into account sort of other ideas or other sort of factors, such as like our own sort of product strategy, the sort of our perceived reach and impact of the feature. So one theme of work that we've really focused on this year has been improving our alternatives functionality, as this is part of our sort of core product offering and benefits essentially all of our customers. So coming soon in this quarter, we are excited to be launching this whole list of improvements. So this includes preventing the alternatives pop-ups from showing on search results pages. So we currently do not provide multiple alternatives responses. So if you're on a search results page and there's lots of DOIs, the extension will currently only show one alternative response, and this isn't particularly sort of optimal UX, as it's a little bit confusing. The user doesn't know where what the alternatives pop-up is going to, because there are a number of results. So we're going to be suppressing the alternatives pop-up on search results. We're going to be harvesting more metadata for our title level ILL DDS form. So this is for the requests that you get through to your ILL DDS for full title items, such as like a full book. We don't currently pull through a lot of metadata on this form at the moment, just the ISBN, but we're going to be using our own internal metadata service to populate this with all of the necessary metadata. We're going to be expanding the open URL response to match full text on all of your available locations. So rather than if you land on a location where you do have full text, it's not like at the top of the hierarchy of your open URL response, the extension will still show you the alternatives redirect pop-up, even though your user is on a full text location. So we are going to be expanding the open URL response. We are going to be doing a lot of work around, or we are doing a lot of work around better identification of ISBNs when a DOI is present on the page. So we have some methods in development at the moment for that. So thank you to everyone who provided feedback on that. That's quite a popular piece of feedback that we get. And then we're also going to be doing more to better identify ISBNs generally. So for example, on Google Books. And then finally, as we don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to whiz through these. We've also got a lot of other improvements that are either released or very nearly released for the rest of the year. These kind of span a number of different themes that we've kind of identified throughout the year. So one of them is expanding your control of your block domains list. So rather than constantly having to request for domains to be added to our sort of global deny list, we want to give you more control over what domains you can block yourself within the dashboard. Currently, we only allow this for our sort of access features. We want to be able to expand this to all injected features. And by injected features, I mean features that you don't have control over whether they show or not. So for example, a non-injected feature would be like a libguide. If you've added a libguide to a domain, you want it there. So for those non-injected features, such as Site AI, the Site AI widget, we're going to be expanding our block domains functionality. We are working on a number of improvements to our access functionality as well. So we've just added a new method of proxy authentication called ham proxy. So for any of our customers who use ham proxy, this is now a method of authentication. We're going to be making some improvements to our auto redirect functionality, and we are very, very close also to launching our wildcards for e-resource domains as well. This is also a very popular piece of feedback we get, largely due to pesky EBSCO URLs. So this is going to be launching very soon. We've also released a number of improvements to our sort of promotional tools, if you like, or like our kind of end user engagement tools. So we now, we've included a onboarding prompt in our installation flow that suggests to users that they pin the Lean Library extension, because this isn't something that Google Chrome does automatically for the users. We want your users to be able to see the Lean Library sort of entryway to the extension, whether they want to open the side tray or reopen their pop-up if the timer has kind of counted down on their pop-up. We now have a feature badge on Google Chrome. This has a number of benefits, one of them being that your users can more easily find the Lean Library extension in the Google Chrome store. And we've made some edits to the branded download page, so you can now either turn off or edit the text in the Twitter/X sidebar on your branded download page, because we know that some of you don't want to show that Twitter sidebar in your branded download page. So you can now either turn it off or repurpose it, something like the librarian dashboard more easily. Obviously, Lean Library does a lot. There's a lot of features there, and sometimes it can be hard to find the setup pages you want, or your promotional tools, for example. So now, by the end of the year, you will be able to search the Lean Library dashboard for the pages you want, and we'll be creating a full taxonomy for this, so you don't need to know the exact terminology that is used in the dashboard itself. Okay. And we don't have a lot of time, but we would love to hear from you on sort of your the things you would really love to see in the roadmap for next year. So I've created a Slido with some roadmap options that you can stack rank. So if you follow this link, Nicole, maybe you could pop it in the chat to make it a bit easier to find. Yeah, that's perfect. Or you can just scan that QR code straight from your screen. And if you follow that link, you should get to that stack ranking of the roadmap items. It's worth saying that if you don't see anything in there that really excites you, I've added an option for like an other, so do feel free to put that sort of like at the top, towards the top, and in the chat, maybe you could just tell us what your sort of other suggestion for the roadmap would be. As I say, we have a lot of exciting stuff planned, we hope, for the roadmap next year that we'll be announcing soon. But at the same time, we want to make sure that what we're planning is in tune with what you all want. I've obviously been talking to quite a few of you about sort of the roadmap next year, what you want to see. But yeah, like, this is also a great opportunity just to get some sort of quick feedback from you all. Fantastic. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen really quickly so I can go into that Slido and see if we've been getting some responses. I see some people are in the Slido as we speak. So I'll just give you a minute or so more, as we don't have much time left, but I will keep this open, and you can keep going with it. Do please feel free to go in and keep adding your sort of your stack ranking after the webinar. I will actually also just maybe open up for one more minute of questions if anyone has any sort of immediate questions they want to ask off the back of anything we've spoken about today. I don't think there's been anything through from the chat.
No.
But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to either stick in the chat or unmute yourself, whatever you like. Yes, sorry, I was actually going to talk through each of the each of the sort of the options. So user segmentation is something we've been thinking about for a really long time, as Ali can attest to, because we've been talking to Ali about this for a long time as well. But it's essentially giving you the ability to create user roles, whether that's education or research level. So whether your users are a student, a researcher, PhD student, a faculty member, whatever it might be. You can add librarian for your team as well, or maybe the school that they belong to, whether it's the medical school, the law school, whatever. And it will allow you to just get more granular insights from your users, essentially. So we'd feed all of that information back into our stat system, and it would also give you the opportunity to tailor the end user experience of the extension based on the research level, for example, because your sort of PhD researchers are not really going to need to see a LibGuide on how to use Google Scholar. So you might want to just turn off all of those sort of more undergraduate focused features for your PhD students. So that's kind of the idea behind that. It sort of fits into the sort of the better analytics, deeper analytics theme. But it's such a sort of popular request that I thought I'd add it as a separate option as well.
Yeah, so I think that is all for today. And if you do have any questions, be sure to reach out to Beck or myself or anyone on the team, and we'll be happy to help you. But once again, thanks very much for joining. Thanks, Becca, for going through that. That was great.
No worries. Thank you so much, everyone. And as I said, my inbox is always open, or our hub portal is always open. So do feel free to always reach out. We love hearing from you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.